Hey guys, it's Fantayzia and welcome to a video all about the eco lifestyle live stream that just recently happened. So this should be going up early in the morning, the day after the live stream. It took me a long time to gather all of this information. There was just a lot covered in the live stream, you guys, and I'm so happy about it because that's exactly what I wanted to see in the live stream. Because I kept telling you guys, I need to see the live stream, I need to see the live stream to really figure out how this pack's gonna feel. And this live stream did that for me. So there's a lot of things here, you guys, but the live stream was like 2 hours long. So I know a lot of you don't have time to sit through that, or you just can't be bothered to sit through that. So I thought I would go ahead and jot down everything. I did this for the recent packs as well, and you guys seem to really enjoy it so that you didn't have to sit through that. So we're gonna start off. The very first thing is the Eco Footprint new UI. So there's a little thing at the bottom of your screen where the Sims time is, and there's a new like eco little footprint thing there, and it lets you know what your current eco footprint is. So in the live stream, when they showed it off, it was in the industrial phase, which basically means like it looks very, just the area surrounding you just has a lot of trash, you know, it's not very bright. It's kind of like in the trailers when everything just looked just not so nice. So that's what the industrial stage is, and it will change of course as you better your eco footprint and stuff, and it'll kind of let you know your progress down below. So that's nice because I was wondering how that was going to work. Then of course, as you guys probably know, when the environment is bad, the Sims cough a lot. So once the environment starts getting better and stuff, their Sims won't be sick anymore, they won't be coughing. Next thing is the things you can place down that of course will help better your eco footprint and everything like that, and that's power generators, water generators, windmills. They'll generate power for you. So those are things that will definitely help you in your worlds. In no matter what world you're in, you can use these things. And for the very first time, build and buy affects your gameplay. So pretty much if you place something down, you're going to notice a lot of items when you click on them in the build and buy. They let you know if they're going to affect your eco footprint, which I was not expecting. So that's kind of nice because I feel like we've always been able to just build freely and it doesn't really affect our world no matter what. Like even if we make a really grungy lot, it doesn't affect the Sims in any way. It's not affecting anything. So now it's going to do that. So there's just so many different objects that we'll give you a little description at the bottom if it's going to affect your eco footprint. So that's pretty cool. Another thing, there is items in build and buy that will say what kind of eco footprint they have. So an example is an item might say that it has an industrial footprint, and another item in build and buy might say that it has a green footprint. So that is another thing you're going to have to look out for. So you're going to have to pay attention to what items have what kind of footprint. This is something I felt like was worth mentioning because it's kind of interesting, something I was not expecting. Things like launching a rocket in your backyard isn't eco-friendly. So if you can imagine, other things like having a bonfire, that's gonna like affect, because it's gonna put smoke in the air. So now the things that your Sims are doing, I'm pretty sure even like grilling food outside will somehow infect the environment, just because of course it's just putting things into the air. So that's going to impact all the worlds, of course. So that's just going to be affecting your everyday gameplay. The eco footprint is per neighborhood. It's not per world. So let's say you're, how each little, when you're looking in the map view, there's all these different neighborhoods for all the worlds. Basically they're all going to have different eco footprints. So, if you make one area of Evergreen Harbor nice, the next neighborhood over could be going through an industrial phase and just be totally trashed up. So it's going to be totally different for each neighborhood, and that's also going to be the same for all the other worlds as well. So I'm sure we've seen the paper bags on Sims heads in the trailer, and that was something I was super confused about. Like, I was like, is this just something we can put on them and create a Sim? How does it work? Like, when did they put a paper bag on their head? It was like funny, but I was like confused about it. So actually it's Sims that are embarrassed of their neighborhood will put bags on their heads. So this can kind of happen if your Sim didn't get what they wanted. So for example, if they voted for something totally different for the neighborhood and something else won, they may be embarrassed of the outcome and then put a paper bag on their head. The children can also put paper bags on their heads as well. So next up, in Evergreen Harbor, each neighborhood has a different starting point. So it's not all just industrial. it's actually completely different in every neighborhood. So there's 3 different neighborhoods, and one of them is industrial, and the other one is very green, and then the other one is just neutral. So they all look different from map view. In map view, the industrial one has just kind of like fog all around it, and then the green one has it just looks more green, and there's like sparkles all around. And when in the neutral one, it just kind of looks like nothing. It just looks like normal. So that was pretty interesting and unexpected as well. So on the neighborhood voting board, there's some different options, and the first one I'm going to mention here is actually has to do with cheats. So if you just want to cheat your way through this pack, you can do that. It just literally depends on how you want to play. So for example, when you click on the voting board and you have like testing cheats on, there is an option to do instant repeal neighborhood action plan, and it's a cheat. So you can click that, and then another menu will pop up, and you can pick like what you want the neighborhood to be like. There's also instant enact neighborhood action plan. So like say you want to make the neighborhood like instantly green, you can do that if you want to. It's up to the player. It won't like instantly change, but it'll start right away changing, and then it'll just keep changing gradually. So you won't have to do anything to get the process to start if that's not what you want to do. All right, so now jumping into create a sim stuff. So this was a very pleasant surprise to me. I didn't exactly know how the clothes were going to be in this pack. We did see some in the trailer, but I didn't see enough in the trailers. So I was very just excited for the Create a Sim part because I love Create a Sim. And I was like, please have there be things that, you know, work for every world and just very wearable and stuff like that. And luckily there actually is. And there's a very nice amount of Create a Sim items. So those of you guys who love Create a Sim, there is 20 female tops. That's how many I counted anyways. So there's a lot of female tops. I was very surprised. And there's over 12 female bottoms. I don't know the exact number because they weren't going through each one, but it was definitely over 12. And then there's over 10 female hairs. I was very shocked at that as well. I was not expecting to see that many female hairs, and some of the female hairs also work for males. So you guys might be underwhelmed with the amount of male hairs, but keep in mind that there's a lot of female hairs that work on the males. Next up, there's 7 new male tops. The males are known to get less. However, there is over 12 male bottoms, which I was happy about. The only thing I did not see was the male full body outfits. I don't know if there's any of those. I don't know if they went over it. I didn't catch it, and I did watch the stream all the way through, so I'm not sure about that. There's 3 new male hairs, but again, there's obviously a few more than that you could use from the female hairs that work on the males. And then there's also new beards, which I was not expecting. And something we've seen in the trailers is the new piercing. So there's lots of new piercings, and in total there's 10 new accessories. A couple of them are not piercings, but most of them are piercings. And just to let you guys know, the piercings look a lot better. Like up close in the live stream, I love them so much more than the Discover University ones. I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like they fit the Sims faces a lot better. They didn't look overly huge anymore. There's also a good amount of kid Create a Sim items, so sometimes, you know, the kids are just missing a lot, but this time around they actually got a good amount of Create a Sim items. And there's a few new toddler items. They usually don't get much, however there's a decent amount. There's definitely more than some other packs, so that was nice as well, because of course toddlers aren't very involved in this pack, so I actually wasn't expecting anything, but luckily there is some things, and they're very cute, you guys. They are very, very cute. So moving on to traits, there's actually 4 new traits, which I'm happy with. I wish we would get 4 new traits with every single expansion pack. These ones of course are very related to the pack, but they are nice traits. And the first one is Maker, the next one is Green Fiend, the next one is Recycle Disciple, and then last one is Freegan. So all of those have different descriptions to them, but I'm gonna leave that for you guys to find out, you know, in future videos of, you know, just reviews on the pack and stuff like that. But there is 4 new traits, and that's great. So for aspirations, there is 2 new aspirations. There is Eco Innovator and Master Maker, and next up is the map of Evergreen Harbor. So this one is a little bit interesting. So each neighborhood looks different from the map view depending on their eco footprint. I did mention that earlier. In Port Promise, which is one of the neighborhoods, there's lots of foggy overlay overlays because it's industrial. And if there's a green footprint, you'll see sparkles. So again, I did mention that previously. And there's 3 new neighborhoods. There's Port Promise, there's Gwim's Quarry, and there's Conifer Station. So those are the 3 new neighborhoods. And then Willow Creek, Oasis Springs, and Newcrest now have their own neighborhood names, which I think is going to be really nice, you guys. So of course, those are very old worlds, and you know, the newer worlds we've gotten, they all have different neighborhoods. You know, you can scroll over the little neighborhood name, read a little description, and with Willow Creek and Oasis Springs, we didn't have that, and now we're gonna have that. So I think that's gonna be like a fun little thing, kind of freshening up the old worlds a little bit. And of course, that is going to be a base game update. So if you hear me mention anything about Willow Creek, Oasis Springs, like anything that doesn't have to do with the pack itself, that's gonna most likely be like a base game type of update, so you'll get it even if you don't get this pack. Now another thing, when you're in map view, you're gonna notice something else. So that there's this new eco footprint button you can click on while you're in map view, and pretty much you're gonna be able to see how your world is changing, and it's gonna outline the neighborhoods in yellow if it's gross, green if it's clean, and white if it's neutral. So that's kind of how that's gonna work. The number of lots in Evergreen Harbor is 13, and then there's also 2 lots that are apartments, and those have like 2 apartments in each. So I guess, you know, there is more than 13 technically, but it, like when you're counting them, there's 13, but of course apartments have multiple places you can live in, so it counts as a little bit more. I think there's technically 15 then, but there is just 13 lots. Since I mentioned apartments, I may as well put this in here too. So you do not need city living to get apartments in this world. The pack is going to come with new apartments, and they're actually very different styles. So we're used to seeing the high-rise apartments. They're not going to be like that, and I'm actually very excited about this, you guys. I love the city living apartments, but my all-time favorite apartment style is the Sims 2, and this looks like the Sims 2 apartments in my opinion. Of course, we didn't get to see them very much, but from what we did see, like we saw enough of them, and I was like, this just gives me Sims 2 vibes. They're like 2 stories, and yeah, so that's gonna be really cool, and you can still pay rent on them and everything like that. The only thing you're not gonna have is you're not gonna have noisy neighbors, and you're not gonna have a landlord. So you're not gonna have to worry about a landlord, no noisy neighbors, which I don't think is bad. I feel like we get enough of that with city living. If you don't have city living, that might be a bummer for you, but if you do have it, then that probably doesn't bother you. At least it doesn't bother me. As long as we can pay rent and it works like a normal apartment, then I'm okay with that. And I like being more on the ground level instead of so high rise. So I'm sure, you know, you guys all know about the like neighborhood action plans that we can do on the little like board and everything like that. You can vote, different things going on with that. So different neighborhood action plans can make Sims do different things, like even show up naked to a Sims house. That can happen, you guys. You can vote for free love basically, and if you do that, the Sims might show up naked and it means that any romantic interactions are totally fair game. No one's gonna get jealous. So you're kind of just living in the town of free love, and there's no such thing as cheating, and it kind of just puts a whole different gameplay. It's just interesting. I was like, oh, that's going to be really interesting to play with. So another thing about the neighborhood action plans, basically there's an eco master, and they're going to show up at your house and tell you about it. And, you know, they'll recommend you things and tell you to vote and all of that fun stuff. So they'll just show up at your house. Neighborhood action plans are going to actually go into your Simology panel. So when you open up your Simology panel, you're going to see that just action plans in there. You're gonna have influence points. So influence points are something you can use when you're voting. So you're gonna have to gain influence points to be able to vote on things, and it costs 10 influence points to vote on something. So I'm gonna get more into that later, but just so you guys get an idea of what influence points are. And another thing, in that little panel when you open it up in your Simology, it'll show you the voting schedule so that you know when you can go vote and how long you have to vote and everything like that. Another really nice thing is there's a lot of things you can do in other packs that will give you influence points, like, you know, gaining fame from Get Famous, getting a degree in university, defeating the mother plant in Strangerville even will give you points. So that's pretty cool because you don't just need to do things that come with eco lifestyle to gain these points. There's so many different things you can do in different packs. I'm sure there's even more, but those are just some that were mentioned. So going back to the voting, there is a new like voting UI that will pop up. You're gonna have all these different options, and then there's gonna be descriptions to each option, so you can figure out what you want to vote for. And then, like I said, one vote is 10 influence points. So, and then you can also convince others to vote for things, and that costs 5 influence points. Next up, we're going to talk about a career. So the very first career I'm going to talk about is the freelance crafter career. So this one, you'll be taking commissions to make things in the fabricator, make candles, and to brew kombucha. So there is kombucha. You can make it with the little drink maker, which I'm going to get into later. I'm really excited about that one. That was something I said from the beginning, that even if I don't play with this pack, that's something I'm going to use. So I was really interested in this. And with the fabricator, you can make all kinds of things. You can make rugs, chairs, bookshelves, tables, lights, and the items are really cute, you guys. This is another thing that I feel like I'll use anytime. You know, like even if my sim is just broke, I think it would be fun to make them a bunch of stuff. Another new object is the recycler, and pretty much everything in the game can be recycled. So when you recycle items, you're gonna get bits and pieces. They're literally called bits and pieces, and you can use them in the fabricator. So I'm gonna explain that in a minute. But to see how many bits and pieces you have, just hover over your household funds. So bits and pieces are a whole new thing. Like, you know, when you recycle things, say you recycle literally an old doll from your childhood, you can recycle it. Your sim can recycle it, and then you're going to get bits and pieces from it. And pretty much when you hover over your household inventory, or not your household inventory, when you hover over your household funds, so it's going to show how many simoleons you have, and then under that it's going to say how many bits you have and how many pieces you have. So that's another thing I was not expecting at all, and I actually really like that. Another useful thing for bits and pieces is you can use them to fuel up your generators, so that's convenient. Okay, so something very exciting, you guys. This will be in the free update, so those of you guys who don't want this pack, you will still have this. So the Sims inventory has been updated. There's a new filter system, so you can filter it by certain items. You can also favorite items, and you can click on multiple things to sell at once. So you can click on like a flower and like a book and just different things and just highlight them and then just click sell at the bottom. So that is so much easier. I am so happy with this. Honestly, the inventory has always bothered me in The Sims. Like, it was fine, but it was just not very convenient, you know? And you can just filter through everything now. So if your sim has this super full inventory, you're going to be able to just filter through it so much easier. All right, so next up is the dumpster. I'm going to talk about everything you can do in the dumpster. So you can take a nap in it, you can sort out recyclables, you can sort out compostables, you can dive for deals, dive for meals, empty the trash, and of course dive for thrills, aka woohoo. So you can woohoo in the dumpster, as we all have seen, so it's called dive for thrills. So that's everything you can do with the dumpster. And a new lot trait we have is reduce and recycle, and it basically changes the way trash is on your lot. Like, it just changes the way it works. So your trash cans are no longer bottomless, which I'm all for this because it's like realism. So you're going to have to do something with your trash, and then the trash man will only come once a week. So there is literally going to be a trash man that comes once a week. However, I'm pretty sure it's only when you have the new lot trait, reduce and recycle. So I think that's nice because not everyone wants to deal with trash cans, like your outside trash can not having a bottomless pit. So in the game right now, your trash can outside, it can just fill up forever. It never overflows. But now your trash can that's sitting outside will actually get full, and you're going to have to empty it, and a trash man's going to come. And yeah, so you could have like overflowing trash if you have a big family, or you're just not very good at reducing your trash limit, you know? All right, so next up is candle making. This is something that, you know, I knew I would like from the start. I kept saying like I kept pointing out that I was excited for candle making and fizzy drinks, but I was unsure about the rest. So, I mean, now I'm not unsure. Now I'm like, this does sound a lot. It sounds like the trailers were not the greatest, and the pack is actually good. Of course, I still want to play it myself, but this live stream showed me that it just has so much more, and it is kind of changing the whole game, which I appreciate, and it's actually kind of making it feel more like real life with so many things, like even just like taking the trash out and having the trash man come and get it, little things like that. And there's another thing I'm going to mention soon, right after the candle making, that is another thing you guys will totally understand why I'm excited about it, because it's so realistic. I love the realistic gameplay. So candle making, you can buy soy wax or you can make it, and you can make 4 different shapes of candles. Another thing is, one of the types of candles is dipped candles, and children can also make those, which I was very happy about. I am so happy the little children can make candles, and you can infuse them with different scents and they'll give Sims different moods. So that's pretty cool. Your candles will have effect on the Sim, and candles do go down, like, you know, they melt down, so they're not just there forever. So you can't just have a candle forever. It's gonna go down, and you can use candles for off the grid as well for your light source. Okay, so getting into something that I was so freaking excited about that I had no idea about, and I'm so excited. So right now I use a mod that is kind of doing what this is doing, and now I don't need that mod. There is a whole new bill system, you guys, and this is coming in the free update. So when you click on your mailbox, there's a bills and utilities option now, and then if you click on that, a new UI opens up showing your current billing estimate. And it's all different categories. You don't just have one bill anymore. It shows you your lot taxes, your power bill, water bill, other taxes, and then tax breaks and penalties. So this is very cool, you guys. I feel like a lot of us can agree this is very cool. If you guys love that bank mod, you probably are excited about this. This is so nice. I'm so happy about it. And it shows also how much power and water you're using a day. So I think this is really nice too. Again, just realism. I appreciate the realism that's happening in this pack, and I wasn't expecting it for some reason. I don't know. I just wasn't expecting it at all. It's not really the vibe I got from the trailers. So there's so much more that's like deep in this pack that you don't see on the surface, I guess, you know, that you can only see if you actually play the pack. So of course they're able to show it in the live stream because they were just playing with the pack. So like I said, that will come in the base game update. And another thing is new community lot. So there's a new community lot called community space. However, it's not just like a simple community lot where you just select community space and that's it. After you select community space, then it opens up another thing, and there's 4 different options you can choose from. You can just choose community space, like that's one of the options, or you can choose a community garden, a marketplace, and a makerspace. So all of these look different. When you click on them, you'll see the changes. However, when you click to change them, so say you pick a makerspace, you click on that, then you go back into your gameplay, it's just going to change back to the community space until the people vote. So just because you put it as a makerspace doesn't mean that's going to win, but you can cheat that. If you just want it to be a makerspace, you can go ahead and cheat it. Now moving on to the juice fizzing machine, which is one of my favorite things. I don't know why, but I love it so much. All right, so the very first thing is you can create your own craft brewing business creating fizzy juice. What you make depends on the ingredients that you put in. So there's so many different ingredients you can put in there. You can put so many different fruits, even like flowers, and just so many different things. And you can make kombucha. You can also make seltzer, and of course you can make fizzy juice. And you just have to load the ingredients, and then the fizzing process just starts. And then when your juice is done, you can collect it and you can actually name it. So you can literally name it anything you want. So if you want to pretend that your sim like made their own pop, you can do that. And if you max out the juice fizzing skill, then you can become, I don't even know if I'm going to say this right. So you max out the skill and you get this like bonus trait, and it's aficionado. I don't know what it is, but aficionado, I don't know, I thought it was cool and it just sounds funny. So there's also a new like storage boxes you can put stuff into. They're just something you can buy and build and buy, and you can place them down. It just looks like a box and you can put stuff in there. So I thought that was nice instead of putting everything in your inventory. There's a new hydroponic garden and you don't need to water it, so it basically just waters itself. So if you're not about watering your plants, you can just get that hydroponic garden and then you're set to go. And then there's also a new vertical garden. So you guys saw these in the trailer. This basically allows you to plant multiple things on a vertical garden. It kind of like saves space, you know? But another thing, you can also grow cruelty-free meat on them. And then if you neglect your fake meat, it will dry up and become jerky. So this is really nice too. And I know a lot of players will appreciate this for different reasons. Another thing, if it catches on fire, you can get a high quality meat cube, like a whole like slab of fake steak. So that's pretty interesting. And next up we have insect farms. So there's different kinds of bugs like grubs, beetles, crickets, and you can nurture the bugs if you want to, or you can basically cook them. So there's new recipes for different meals you can make with the bugs. If you can create enough crickets, you can also make biofuel with them and power your house with the power of crickets. So that's interesting too. I didn't even know that was going to be a thing. And you also have to feed and water the bugs. So some of the new recipes you can make with the bugs are popcorn crickets, a cricket meal, and beetle stir fry. So this sounds disgusting, but basically they were talking about how, you know, some places in the world do this to save resources and stuff like that, so that's why it's included. Oh, another option at the dumpster that I forgot to mention that I'll just throw in here is you can bond with the flies at the dumpster, and this brings me to the new death. So when you bond with the flies, you can die from it. If they just, you know, they don't like you, they can start attacking you and then suddenly you die from it. Or you can get lucky and they might start like swarming you and you're like, oh my god, my sim's gonna die, but then they get lucky and they're fine. But be careful, don't mess with the flies because you might die. Some more details about the dumpster. Yes, there's a lot to do with the dumpster, you guys. You can find literally everything in there. So you can find beds, you can find literally a whole house worth of furniture. So this is something that would be good for rags to riches. Or if you're just starting out and your Sims broke, you can fill up your house with dumpster furniture. So I thought that was really cool too. You can also find money in the dumpster, so that's good too if your Sim's like just struggling. There's a new off the grid category / like filter in build and buy for base game. Now with off the grid, you can also collect water. This is also with base game. So say you're in Sulani and you want to collect water, you can just go to the water and collect the water. I thought that was really interesting too. I was not expecting that. Another new career is the civil engineer career, and for this one you can go to work or work at home. I don't really have many details about this one, but that is another career that we're getting. And then there is the new eco inspector NPC. So you can hire them as a service and then they come over and they'll basically check out the eco footprint your house is supplying, and they'll give you a report on it to kind of like give you an idea. And then there's the civic inspector NPC. So this NPC is based on the neighborhood action plans that are currently active, and pretty much they'll come and check to see how you're doing, and if you're not following protocol, you can get a fine. So like they'll add a fine. So that is nice because we need just more discipline happening in The Sims. So I feel like we're finally getting that. Another base game update is windows don't snap to the grid anymore. You can just hold Alt and move them freely, which, oh my god, you guys, I cannot tell you how happy this makes me. Just hold Alt on your keyboard and move the window wherever you want it. How amazing is that? Ladders will also be in the base game, so don't worry if you don't want this pack, you'll be getting ladders as well. There's also flat solar panels that will attach to like your regular roofs. So if you just want like a flat solar panel just chilling on your roof, you can do that super easily. So another feature that kind of, you know, includes other packs is if you have seasons, you can get acid rain, and it happens when you're in an industrial eco footprint and it can make your Sims sick. So I don't know what the acid rain is going to look like, but I'm super curious to find out. I'm very excited for like a new weather. All right, so two very exciting things, you guys, is the Repo Man is back with base game. If you don't pay your bills, the Repo Man will arrive and take your objects. You guys are probably familiar with the Repo Man in previous Sims games, so definitely make sure to pay your bills or don't and have the drama happen. And then firemen are back, you guys. So I'm so freaking excited about this. We are starting to get the things back that we need. So next up, what I'm hoping for is we get like cops back and burglars. Those are the next two things I hope we get back. I'm so happy. Fireman, Repo Man, and then the Trash Man. I don't really know how those are going to work. I don't know how it works, but it was said in the live stream that once a week there's a Trash Man, but they didn't show it, so I have no idea what happens there. Last thing is super random, but it was, you know, one of the last things that happened in the live stream. So children can use the ladders, which is very nice, but toddlers and pets can't. But I think that makes sense. I'm not complaining about that. Of course a toddler can't use a ladder. Of course the pet can't use a ladder. So that is totally fine. So that is everything that I gathered from the live stream, you guys. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys, 30 something minutes instead of 2 hours long if you just didn't want to watch all that. So yeah, overall, I feel much better. Of course, again, I never know how a pack is going to exactly feel until I play it. But what I will say is I finally felt excited, because if you guys have been watching my videos on eco lifestyle, I have stayed very neutral. So basically I'm not excited and I'm not disappointed. It's like this neutral thing where I'm like unsure about things, and there's certain things like candle making and fizzy drinks that got me excited, but then there's other things that I was like like just iffy, unsure, kind of don't have an opinion about. But now after seeing this live stream, it's so much easier to get a feel of how this pack is going to be, and I can happily say that I feel like it's something, luckily, I'm going to use more in my everyday gameplay, because that's one thing I was worried about, and it actually seems like a pack that's going to affect my everyday gameplay more and just kind of change the way my Sims live kind of more in a realistic way. There's a lot of things I mentioned that kind of just add more realism to your Sims' everyday lives. Even if they're not all about the eco-friendly lifestyle, there's just things being added in this pack that are just going to make your Sims' lives more realistic, and I'm excited about it. I don't want to get crazy excited because it is such a different pack than what I'm used to for an expansion pack, so I still want to wait to play it, but I am more excited going into it. So I feel like, when I actually get to play this pack and record some videos for you guys, I feel like I'm going to be excited to do so and not just feel meh, you know what I mean? So that's good, because that's what I was crossing my fingers for with this live stream. I was like, please, can the live stream get me more excited about this pack? And it definitely did. So yeah, I really enjoyed the live stream. I was able to sit through it and not get bored. It was a good live stream, and I have seen a lot of people get excited about the pack after the live stream. I noticed in my comments there was kind of different comments happening compared to when I first started uploading eco lifestyle. There was a lot more people saying that they're excited now. So maybe the trailers were just not giving the pack justice. I don't know. I can't wait to, try it out and just see everything else and see how it is to play with all this stuff and everything like that. So you guys, that is good news. But we definitely need to do our notification Fantacorn film shout out at the end here. I didn't do it at the beginning just because I wanted to jump right in because there was so much to go over. But this one goes to Slay Girl, and thank you so much. You're so freaking sweet. I just appreciate the support, and you're just so nice. You're so nice all the time, and I love you too. I'm so happy you love my channel. And if you guys want a chance to be in a notification Fantacorn fam shoutout, all you gotta do is comment down below on any video. You can comment anything you want, or you can comment some unicorn emojis and turn your notifications on. So you guys, with that being said, I am gonna wrap this up here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day, and don't forget to leave some positivity down below. I love you guys all so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.
You gotta listen up, listen up. There's not a thing that I can't get from you. Boy, I don't need that much,